Hello everybody, Tyrone the Guy 3 here, and welcome to a discussion topic that I want to do with you guys today. And here with me I have a guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is known as Terrell, the InsaneGameFreak, even though when you hear the next part of this, it won't be on that channel. So, for the sake of the discussion, we'll just go by Manic, because the second channel is Schizomanic. Wow, that was a terrible intro. I apologize.
It's okay, it's okay. You got multiple channels, so obviously you got to keep up with multiple intros.
I have multiple personas. You never know what face I'm going to put on next.
Exactly. And for those of y'all who don't know, I will put the link to each of his channels in the description along with my own and his Twitter. So make sure you all go to that. So the topic at hand here today is literally an anime I watched a couple of days ago, and I watched both seasons. The anime is called SNAFU.
Yeah, it's also known as Oregaru, or My Teenage Romantic Comedy Is Not What I Expected.
Yeah, and this show was quite something. So, it's very. We'll just have you start off, and then I'll go recollect, because I know, if my memory serves, you actually did a review of the entire second season on your channel, correct?
I actually did both seasons.
Oh yeah, you did both.
It was one of those. It came out in the I don't know what season, but it came out. The first season came out like, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, and I just happened upon it, and I was like, oh look, a main character who isn't a traditional, like, dense, like, super happy-go-lucky, the world is roses, I believe in justice kind of characters, and a rom-com.
Yeah, that ain't hickey.
And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's try it. And so I watched the first 2 episodes, and I said, you know what? I want to start reviewing this. So I started reviewing the first season, which is what we'll mainly be talking about on this part.
Yep.
And
then we'll be talking about the second season on your channel.
Yeah. So for this first part, we're mainly doing the first season. Well, I decided to review the first season on a whim because I liked the first 2 episodes, and it snowballed. So why don't we start with the premise? How did you feel about how everything was set up, considering the main? Because for those who don't know, the main premise of SNAFU is it's like a traditional rom-com where it doesn't have like an ongoing plot other than the main character Hachiman Hikigaya is a problem student, not in terms of like breaking stuff or being a delinquent.
He just has a very ass.
Yeah, man, that's what you do. You're a smart ass, you get thrown in detention. It's just like real life, guys. You gotta enjoy that realism in anime. So he gets forced to work in the service club that only has one other member, known as Yukino and Yukinoshita. And from there, they kind of just do odd jobs. Although Hikigaya and Yukino don't really get along.
Which is why later they're also they also team up with a girl named Yui.
Yeah. So let's start with our main protagonist. How do you like Hikigaya, or as anime fans have known him, he is anime Batman?
He's my spirit animal. I love Hiki because Hiki looks at everything in a value. It seems kind of negative, unfortunately, but it's the most sensible. He knows, like, I want to say he's a pessimistic. I
wouldn't even call him that. He's more of a realist than pessimistic.
He's realist. He knows he knows the entire ins and outs of everything, almost to a point where when he looks at somebody at face value, he always expects, that the worst is gonna come out rather than the best, simply because he just knows how people talk, and that's only because he's excluded himself from every group. And I like how he doesn't put down himself. He thinks really highly of himself, which is quite the opposite of what most people who are outcasted do. Most people outcast themselves because they already have belittled themselves.
Yeah, the best way I can describe him is that if anyone's seen Medaka Box, he will remind you very much of Kumagawa, which if you're an anime only watcher, you won't know who Kumagawa is, and unless you watch the last episode of season 2, and even then you don't get really a full extent what I mean by that. He's a guy who recognizes his faults and looks at his faults as positives. So it's like, oh, I'm lazy. No, I'm just smart about what kind of work I want to do. That's why I think I think early in the season he mentions how they have to write like a paper, and his goal is to be it's the work study episode. His goal is to be like a stay-at-home husband. Like like he has no.
But he justifies why it's such a good idea.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Or like how he wants to get scholarships so he can still get money from his parents and just hoard all the money from his parents while going to school off a scholarship.
And I gotta say, that makes sense. I hate to be that makes sense.
I don't hate it. Look, man, he's my sensei for that crap. That's the kind of stuff that you appreciate in a main character, because it's like dickish, but you get it.
Yeah, he's real.
Like you know what he. Yeah, he's real. Like he isn't really about like even like when he starts interacting with other characters, he can't stand having conversations in which it's like a stereotypical anime conversation where they're like, oh, we've talked for 20 seconds, now we're friends. Like he guys like fuck all that. That's not how that works.
Right.
Because in the beginning. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember there was a moment, and I think this may be in season 2, but one of the girls is wearing glasses, and she's like, "Yo, do I look really smart in these?" The fact that you have to ask, "Do you look smart in glasses?" makes you look dumb. like that's the type of character.
Oh yeah, that is in season 2.
Yeah, but that's the type of mindset we're rocking right now, and I love it.
Yeah, because he's just kind of like, I'm not going to pander to your bullshit. Because one of his more famous lines is him talking about how people in superficial relationships have a tendency to like bullshit conversation where it's like a talk that has no value into it, but by doing that you end up having conversations that are superficial. Like there's no real substance to the conversation. Which leads us kind of into our next character, because most of the characters do that, except for our first. Well, I don't know. I guess she's technically the main female of the series.
The heroine, yeah, I would call her the heroine.
Which is our Yukinoshita. Yukinoshita. Yeah. I messed it up. Who is also known as the Ice Queen. Why is she known as the ice cream? Shit. Why is she known as the Ice Queen? I'm hungry, man. Feed me. No, I'm just playing. Why is she known as the Ice Queen, Tyrone?
Okay, so Yukinon's whole deal is that she doesn't waste herself with trivial conversations, and she excludes herself, but not for the exact same reasons that Hiki excludes himself. She excludes herself because she knows that she's popular and she's good looking and intelligent, which is why other girls in the past used to hate her for it, because they viewed her as competition. So she purposely just said, screw it, I don't need society because I'm already what society desires. Like literally the two are magnets, like the two are opposite magnets. And opposites attract, but it's so clear that they'll deny that they're anything alike. Like if you say that Hiki hates society but thinks highly of himself, Yukinon thinks highly of herself but chooses not to be a part of society.
Which is weird, because the goal of the club, at least according to her, is to kind of bridge that gap that people like her or even like Hikigaya can like function in society. Which brings up like the first argument they have in the first episode, which is like, why do I need to change? Exactly. And Yuki Noshita's whole thing was like, well, that's what humans do. Humans don't stay the same. Like that's the whole point. It's weird because it almost makes it seem like she's the hero of the story.
Yeah. And the thing about it, it's also the thing about it is, that first conversation is probably the deepest they got until later on in the series, obviously. And it was really tossed off as a joke because they were arguing while they were doing it.
Well, let's be real here. Like half of their conversations are arguments.
That's true. That is true.
Which actually gets into one of my favorite running jokes, is that like she always makes up like mean nicknames for Hikigaya.
Yeah.
And like talk shit about him all the time. And those interactions are my favorite, because you can tell Like like a normal anime character would take that way harder than Hikigai does, because Hikigai would just be kind of like, well, that wasn't even a good burn, or that doesn't make any sense, and he'll try to like make the insult make sense. Like there is it feels genuine because it doesn't feel like they're going out. It doesn't feel like they're giving like traditional answers.
Yeah, but when they roast each other, it literally feels like a giant chess game.
But also, and I have to ask because this shit was funny as hell to me when we first saw it, because we don't see it until like episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
What did you think of Yukino's love of cats?
You know, I knew they were gonna do. I didn't know it was gonna be necessarily cats, but I knew they were gonna do like this serious girl likes a cutesy thing. They always do that in anime, and usually in these anime, in these rom-coms, animes, even Rosario Vampire did it. I think to one point where the actual ice girl, I can't remember because it's been so long, but she had like a thing going. So whenever they take a very serious or quiet character and make them fall in love with like a simplistic thing, I was like, okay, there's the running joke. I knew it was gonna come, just I didn't know it was gonna come now, and I didn't know it was gonna be specifically cats. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, there it is.
Yeah, she's very. I like the term Hikigai uses. He always calls her frisky with cats.
Yeah.
Like even in English, even in Japanese, you can hear him. He actually does say the word frisky. Although I think he uses it in a different context. It might be just because it's Japanese.
Right.
But I always found that hilarious because it was just because she's also embarrassed by the fact that like I think the first time we see it is like it's the request in which they have to help out Saki, which is the girl with like the silver hair, and she
oh yes, Saki.
And her brother.
Yeah.
And like they're trying to lure her with the cat, and like sitting there talking to the cat, having this weird meowing moment where they're just meowing at each other, and Hikigai walks up behind her, and he's just like, "The hell are you doing?" And her response. And then her response is to turn around and just start berating him. And he's just kind of like, okay, so we never make fun of her in liking cats anymore. Okay, duly noted.
No one will ever like cats more than Sebastian, though, from Black Butler.
I haven't watched Black Butler, and I've heard very mixed things about it in terms of... But that's partially due to because a lot of people don't like the fact that the anime kind of deviated from the manga, but that's a different story.
Right.
Shall we get into the third main character?
Oh God, this girl. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, listen. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. That's like she's like waifu material. I know people.
She's waifu.
Don't like. But listen, y'all need to leave Yui alone. All right, Yui is dope. Yui is what makes this anime because without Yui, this shit would never progress.
That's true. I will admit that. Without Yui, the entire team would fall apart.
So, I think you did Yukinoshita's introduction, so I'll do Yui's. Yui is actually their first request, technically.
Yeah.
Because her first request is like to help her know how to cook. And the one thing we haven't mentioned with Yukinoshita is that Yukinoshita has a bad tendency of being brutally honest, which turns a lot of people away from her. And she's used to getting shunned for how brutally honest she is.
Right.
Yui, what makes Yui stick around, at least in the beginning, is part of the fact that Yui, for some reason, took the brutal honesty better than like any other character. Like, she actually acknowledged that she had the problem, looked at it, and then like called her cool because she was so freely willing to open her mind. Which is weird because Yui's like, there's nothing really unique about Yui's actually like a stereotypical rom-com character.
That is true. That is absolutely true, actually.
Yeah, because there's nothing like, the only thing that's different about her is that she's just not a bitch. Like, she's very airheaded and cutesy.
She had her bitchy moments towards Hiki.
Well, yeah, but I kind of
creepy and but that was, I think, towards the later part of season 1, I think that was just teasing at that point. But at the earlier start, it was just her knowing literally nothing about Hiki.
Yeah, which is interesting because of I guess we should mention. Are we going to do spoilers in this or no?
Slight spoilers, but not enough to ruin reveals.
Okay, then we're okay. All right, okay. I can't reference something then because it's like in the middle of the season and it leads into like romance related stuff.
Yeah, I think when we get towards there, we'll put a halt on it because we still want people to enjoy the show.
Okay. What makes Yui, but anyways, what makes kind of Yui interesting is that like it's like I said before, she actually can handle the criticism, which is funny considering the other friends she hangs out with don't handle it nowhere near as well. But she seems to initially gleam on the Yukinon, which is her nickname, because I've actually defaulted into calling Yukinosta Yukinon because it's kind of like Tyrone calling Hikigaya Hiki. Yeah. The only character who calls him Hiki is Yui.
Right, but it caught on. To me, it caught on, and it was better than me just saying Hachiman or Hikigaya.
Yeah. And when you hear it enough time, it's just kind of like, that's what he is now.
That's what he is now, yeah.
Yeah, but see, because of Yui's, it's weird how her one trait is just being more open-minded is what allows her to, because that's really what it boils down to, is that she's just open-minded about the situation. It's like, she got called out for being a shitty cook and for making excuses for not getting any better at being a cook. And she kind of went, I need to work on this shit. And it was kind of like go ahead.
I was just going to say, and in a team with two people that are outcast, I think Yui plays an important role because she represents society. She represents the general public. So when it comes down to people asking for requests, if it were just Yukinon and Hiki, it'd be literally just bad cop and bad cop, where Yui is the good cop.
Which is mainly due to the fact that, Hikigaya doesn't even want to be in the club. I guess we should have mentioned that. In the beginning of the anime, he has no interest in being in the club. Ironically enough, he does the same stereotypical main character thing of, I don't want to be here, but I'm still involving myself, in every damn request.
Right.
It's because, Hiki, like any other human, is full of shit, but we'll get into that later. But the thing, I agree. The whole thing with Yui being the glue is her main trait. That's like one of her. She is the reason why the story progresses the way it does, because she's the one who constantly is forcing interactions for the most part. Like in the beginning, like the first few episodes when we meet some of the side characters. Like for the, I'm trying to think of a good example. She wants to constantly have lunch with Yukinon a lot. Or she's the one who's talking to Hikigaya in class because for some reason the series decided that only two of the main characters were going to be in class, which is a cool subversion because usually the main characters are all in the same class.
Yeah, I kind of like that too because then the relationship seems more realistic now.
Although
you're not going to always have a class with all of your friends. Some of your friends are just in different classes. That makes sense. I get it.
Yeah. Ironically enough, though, I think part of that reason is because half of the class would hate Yukinoshita.
Oh yeah, that dude drama would start, especially with what's the blonde-haired girl's name?
Yukiko. It's really close to Yukinoshita. It's no. It's what is her name? It's gonna come to me later on.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't. Is it Yumiko?
Yumiko or something like that. Yeah, she didn't do enough for me to remember her name.
Well, it's because her whole plot point is being a bitch.
Yeah.
And being one of the dick riders of our pretty boy characters.
She's the popular girl. Yeah, popular girl.
So
that's her role.
Just like any other rom-com, we have a varied cast of side characters. I don't know who we should start with because I feel like we should start with the way they appeared in the anime, which would be Zaimokuza and then Totsuka.
Okay. Yeah, Zaimokuza. We'll say best girl for after Zaimokuza.
Well, yeah. Okay. So I'll let you handle Zaimokuza and I'll handle best girl.
Okay, Zaimokuza. Oh man, this guy. First off, what did you think of Zaimokuza?
I didn't think much of him because the way he's introduced is like that stereotypical otaku character.
Yeah, I
I
get
just
that.
didn't.
I got that feeling too. His whole thing is that isn't his name based off one of the old Japanese like warlords or
They
something?
like the 8 generals, and it's like
Yeah, yeah,
like if anyone's like looked at Samurai Warriors, like the game or the series, it's like that. It's like that Nobunaga's ambition crap where it references a whole bunch of old school generals and their subordinates, and I think his name is probably a reference to one of them,
yeah.
probably.
And he is basically the weirdo of the entire school because he puts way too much energy into everything to an uncomfortable point, and he's also like the hype man because he'll put literally 110 for everything or he says and everything he does, but at the same time that just makes him weirder for it. He's just a very loud and awkward character, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because he's obviously supposed to be the otaku character,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's nowhere. It's weird because his main shtick is writing stories and novels.
Which is only referenced for real once.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because he's actually he would be argued to say he's like Hachiman's first friend, I guess.
Acquaintance. Even Hiki makes sure he says like, "Yo, I just know him."
Yeah, about to say. I guess we need to reiterate. Hikigaya has no friends the entirety of this season. Well, not officially.
Yeah,
Uh,
the relationships in this show are probably the most realistic an anime will ever get.
yeah, because no one becomes friends with a person after like 20 minutes of hanging out,
Right.
which is what happens in usually like episodes of anime
Or like
shows.
Sonic. Hi, you said hi to me. We're now friends.
Yeah, it's crazy, but Zamokusa doesn't have too much to him to really talk about because
Yeah.
he's around in episodes, but it's that same kind of I'm a super nerd and super like into like I'm into anime and novels but I do say in his introduction we do get a decent insight into Hikigaya because Hikigaya used to indulge himself in that, which isn't too surprising.
Okay, let's say let me ask you this will you say they used up all of their used up all their ammo for this character in his debut and then just sort of pattered him out through the rest of the series?
Yeah, because he doesn't add anything in the later half of the series.
Yeah, like he
Except,
basically revealed all of his things in the first season, and then he's useful later, but in senses.
yeah, ironically enough, I would say the only other time he shines is in the OVA, which the OVA for the first season, which is that whole the stereotypical sports festival episode where they do all the challenges and he and Hikigaya have to work on the challenge by themselves, along with Totsuka. He shines because of his over ridiculousness and he plays off of it really well. So I guess there's not much else to say. So and we're not gonna go through every character. We're just gonna go through the main ones you see.
Yeah.
I guess we talk about Best Girl right next, right?
Best Girl.
Okay, this is the weirdest gag in the show, and it is bar none my favorite shit
And
because
it makes
even
you question your sexuality.
bruh, look, everyone knows that trap characters are meant for like girls who like really cute looking guys, all right? Trap characters are for the girls or for the female anime fan. They're not for the guys, all right? But what fucks me up is that this anime openly that Hachiman's first like infatuation was with Totsuka, who really his character can be summed up as a girly ass looking dude who for some reason is cute as shit and has no reason to be as cute as he is.
It's bullshit. It's just like with Haku and several other characters where you see they're clearly drawn female, but they're male. Just to fuck with you, they're male.
Yeah, like Totsuka has like a higher pitched voice, and you're like, son of a bitch.
I'm like, why are you cuter than the girls here? It makes no sense.
It just makes me mad, dude. It makes me so fucking mad. And I like how the running gag with him and Hachiman is that Hachiman is constantly fighting his sexuality. Although I think he even declares it in like one of the episodes that Toska is his waifu. So
in his mind, he's already shipped himself with him. It's funny because like especially during his debut. My God, in his debut, they really like fluffed him up.
dude, hey man, his hair was so soft. You needed to pet him like 16 times.
His shorts were like really detailed, and he always had that like I don't know what you call it. It's when like a girl usually flirts with you. It's this pink background aura that's in the background.
It's moe bullshit. That's what I call it.
Yeah, they put it a lot in his debut episode. Like everything he said and did just had it behind him. And I'm just like, what the hell? Why? And it was even to a point where the other guys fell for it too during the sports OVA.
Yeah, and the one thing we need to bring up, because to me this was the episode that fucked me up with him. It's the episode when they're trying to figure out who's spreading the mean emails about each other in the classroom, and Hikigai and Yui both have to figure out a way to like get information out of their classmates without really revealing their intentions. And Totsuka interrupts Hikigaya, and he fucking blushes, and Hikigaya is like, "Cook for me," and then like he starts doing an inner monologue about friendship, and he's like, "Well, friends usually call themselves by their first names, but that doesn't really mean anything." And so he randomly looks at Totsuka, and he's like, Saika, because his name, ironically enough, his name is like a girly first name too. It's like Saika.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Yeah, Saika. And so she, damn it, not she.
See?
Yeah, I know, it fucked me up. He pauses, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean." And then she damn it. He is like, he is super happy about it, like to the point where it's almost adorable. You want to just like hug him and shit. And he's sitting there going, call me by my first name. And he tells him to do it like 3 times, and fucking, and Hikigai is in fucking love. To the point where he's just like daydreaming by the time his name is called by the 3rd time. He's like, huh, what were we talking about?
Yeah, Hikigaya has already had his own mindset from the get-go of season 1, and he doesn't change it much. But whenever Saika comes in, his mindset immediately is shifted. Like, it's no contest anymore.
It is bar none some of the funniest gags, because for one, if you're like a pretty susceptible dude to like moe bullshit, you're gonna get caught in it too. Like, it's not that's what makes it funny and disturbing, because it's not only you're laughing Hikigaya getting caught up in it. You're like, oh my god. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Like,
if you don't, and for those who are watching, I wouldn't get frustrated by it. They drew him and made him on the intentions that would happen.
Yeah, man, but listen, if you watch anime, you were prepared to be caught up in some weird shit. Let's be fair here.
Pretty much, yeah. So this is basically what you signed up for if you see this character. So don't feel bad if you start like looking at him a certain way, because everybody does it. That's the joke.
Yeah, it's a part of the fucking contract. Just like after you watch both seasons, you'll start saying "yeah, hello" all the damn time.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it was the dumbest shit, because it just came out of nowhere. I don't even remember what triggered her to start saying it. Yui, for some reason, in the middle of the first season, just starts saying "yeah, hello" as an entrance line, and you're just kind of like, the fuck was that? And then it catches on, like Yuki None's.
I think it picked up during the summer camp arc.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, when
I just remember there being one point where she just started saying it, and you were just like, okay, I see this is what we're doing now. That's cool.
And I guess while we're talking about it, we can briefly go over this character, because she's a child, and she only appears in 1 episode of season 1, well, 2 episodes of season 1 and 2 episodes of season 2. There's this little girl, her name's Rumi, and she's basically I like to imagine her as Yuki-nun and Hiki's child, because that's what she is.
Hey, listen, you're gonna start shipping wars, and I don't think you want that in your comment section.
I mean, that's true, but like the way that little girl carries herself is basically how those two have already grown up.
Oh no, look, I agree with you, but I can't openly admit that, or else the war starts.
That's true.
You don't understand. There are guns outside of your fucking channel right now, shooting in the air, going, "Which team are you on?" And we're not going to reveal that today, because if we do, there's a whole... Yeah, besides, I think it's a better conversation for Season 2 anyway, considering where Season 2 ends up going.
Okay.
I don't want to. We've already spent a decent amount of time on characters, so the only other character we'll mention is Hayama, because Hayama is relatively important, and he becomes very important later on.
Oh yeah, him.
You can explain Hayama since I took best waifu, so.
Hayama. So Hayama, I'm trying to remember because there's several H characters. He's the blonde popular dude, right?
He's pretty boy, mech,
Yeah.
main
Okay.
character,
Yeah.
pseudo mech character kind of thing.
Season one does a great job of showing off who he is as a shell. They don't dig into the inner parts of him yet.
So you're already spoiling shit. Come on, Tyrone.
I didn't. I was vague. So I haven't
All right.
I haven't got.
Yeah, but see, you've now mentioned that it's a shell, man. You can't do that.
I mean, well, because even Hiki explains like this guy right here, he's basically what everybody. This guy's what everybody expects you to be.
Ironically enough, he's like what a normal rom-com main character would be, actually.
Yeah. Like even his presence makes the entire room calm down just because he's so positive.
It's funny because Hickey guy gets caught up in the bullshit and he like high fives him at the end of one of the episodes.
Yeah.
He does that. He does that whole I speak English all of a sudden. He goes okay, and he slaps his hand. I'm like, all right, Hickey guy, I see you're weak-minded, sir.
Yeah, because he has the ability to like basically spread the entire room with like chill vibes. What did you think of him?
I kind of like them. I actually like his introduction because if you remember, it's the sequence in which he's like explaining how all of his friends are, and Yuki Noshita interprets him completely differently than what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like oh, well, my friend, he's nice and he has an energetic personality, and Yuki Noshita's like, oh, so he's loud and annoying. Okay.
yeah, and he keeps changing them all. She keeps changing them all into their personalities that she's putting on, like the negative ones, not the positive aspects. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because you can look at that sequence as two different ways. Is Hayama over exaggerating the good qualities of his friends, or is Yuki Noshita over exaggerating the negative qualities of his friends?
Yeah, and like when he's around, you do get a good sense of like a nice character. I want to say to me he was kind of, I don't want to say he was kind of bland. It's just, yeah, that's it. Like he was nice, and then there wasn't really much going out for him after that. I was like, okay, I get it. He's the nice guy, which we kind of need in this show actually, because everybody else is all screwed up.
No, anyways, we're not gonna. I was gonna say
I won't go into too much detail, but
I know. Hey, yeah, we don't have to talk about it. I think the point of him was to be the nice guy. Like he didn't really serve any other real purpose than being the nice guy. But I kind of want to talk about the thing about this series and this season that was interesting. This is probably the most I've ever had to pay attention to characters' like body language and like subtle movements in their gestures.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could there's a sequence very later on near the latter half of the series where Yuki Noshita turns around and says bye and see you later by like putting up her hand like a normal anime character would normally do.
Right.
And like that sequence doesn't mean jack shit for a normal viewer. Like if a normal viewer would look at that and go, what's so important about the sequence? But if you know who Yuki Noshita is and if you watched it throughout the season, you would know she would never fucking do that. Like ever.
Yeah, it does definitely have a weird tone shift when she leaves that way versus her leaving the regular way.
Yeah, and it shows because these characters are going through a lot of subtle growth, which is why I say watching this series is very interesting because you're watching for subtle changes in their gestures and hand movements.
Yeah, and like we will say that some of these characters may be cliche or stereotypical sometimes, but I would be lying if I say that this show does a damn good job with development for each of them.
Yeah. I think the only thing I don't care for is that, unfortunately, the first season falls into the trap of having... Because the main gimmick of throughout the season is they're getting requests, and they all have to figure them out. And help the person who's giving the request out.
Right.
Well, the problem I have is that... Actually, no, it's a spoiler. I'm not going to do that. Let's just say the request would go in a direction that you would expect it to in a show like this, and I think that's the only part I didn't like as much.
Mm-hmm.
And considering the payoff for it, which comes in the next season, it doesn't bother me as much as it probably should.
Right.
Because like when you think about I don't know if you know specifically what I'm referring to, but if you notice, every request in the first season all have the same result.
Pretty much, yeah. And almost to the point where it's kind of predictable what the ending solution is going to be.
Yeah. And it's cool, but it's like it's too predictable. Now, as I said, there's a payoff for it in the second season, which is what people need to pay attention to. Because the first season is more about subverting your expectations of like rom-com animes, which, plays into the title of the series. My romantic teen comedy is not what I expected.
Yeah.
They don't even I think they only do this joke once, and it's such a throwaway joke.
Yeah.
Which is the walking in on them while changing joke.
Yeah.
They do it once.
Yeah, they do it. I remember that. Yeah.
They only do it once, and it's at the very end of the episode, and it's very fast paced. Now, it still ends up the way you expect it, but it's very whatever. We're just doing this.
It was glossed over because it was like, hey, we're a rom-com. We got to do this at least once.
Yeah, it feels like it was a contractual obligation, so it's like, well, we got to throw it out. Let's just throw it out near the end of the episode. No one's going to give a shit anyway, so it's fine. And I like that. Or like how the gimmick for a lot of rom-coms, for a comparison, I don't know if you've watched this, but Kimi no Doge, which is a very well-known shoujo manga. Most traditional rom-coms or even shoujos follow under the logic of we need the main problems in the show are built around misunderstandings that last the whole fucking season. Usually a misunderstanding is made up through a sequence of comedic events, and then the rest of the season the misunderstanding is hanging around as a joke and becomes a forefront driving force. And the ending of the series is usually them fixing the misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's just in that situation where they did the walk-in joke would have been referenced literally every episode, and he just would have been viewed as a pervert for the entirety of the series.
Yeah, or a better example is that I think later in the season, Yui mistakenly believes that Hikigaya and Yukinoshita are dating because of certain events that take place.
Right.
And that is resolved in the same episode. By the end of the episode, she doesn't know. It's been explained that that's not the case.
Right. So,
that's what I mean.
This series does a good job trimming the fat of what most rom-coms would have and get straight to the meat.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fast pace and not because let's be real here. Once you watch enough anime, no one wants to fucking see a guy accidentally walk in on a guy and girl hugging and mistake that as dating when it really in reality she was just cold and she just needed some warmth or else she would have froze to death. We don't need that it was a misunderstanding but now it's a drama plot point shit anymore.
And no one no one ever directly tells anybody anything. It's just through gestures and awkward sighs and that weird moment.
That was great. We need that should be a...
The entirety, and I'm just getting off topic for 1 second. The entirety of Catherine could have been solved if if Vincent just said I'm taken, but instead we go through all that bullshit.
Exactly, because misunderstandings are what create plots and dramas. Dramas don't come from this overly convoluted story. It comes from a simple misunderstanding that leads into a whole bunch of shitty situations.
Yeah.
And SNAFU actively avoids that. Every conflict is different, and there isn't really too much ongoing stuff until we get into the later half of the series in which a particular character is introduced. I don't know if we should reference her because she's actually really important because of how much
she was talked about in season 1, but I don't think she made her debut until season 2, right?
No, she's in season 1.
Oh, she is? Yeah, she is. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I'll let you have that one.
We're talking about the older sister, right?
Yep.
Okay, I figured. Yeah, this bitch.
Well, I don't even know if I would see. Well, we'll get into that in season 2 stuff because season 2.
Yeah, she does most of her jobs in season 2. Long story short, Yukinun's older sister makes a plot for the show, like makes the plot thicker for the show.
Yeah, because like everything will be fine, and she just comes in there and fucks it up with a whole bunch of emotional bullshit in the background.
I had this running joke while I was watching the show where every time she shows up, I go, and the plot thickens.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, her appearance makes the plot thicker.
I believe her name is Haruno or Haruna. I always mess up the O and A because of anime. Don't judge me. The biggest confusion with her character, and even nowadays it's kind of hard unless you're like someone who reads the light novels, is that a lot of people can't tell if she intentionally does not like Yukinoshita or if she's trying to help her in her own way, and her own way is just really fucking shitty. Because the way she's an older sister who antagonizes the fuck out of her younger sister.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like you're doing it but you can't tell if she's doing it to help Yukinoshita or doing it to break her down. Because to her, it almost feels like it's one and the same for a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So you're kind of conflicted about is she like a dick or is she just trying to be helpful?
Right. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. She's. Every time I saw her, I was just like, this bitch. This bitch. Because a lot. I can't really get into too much detail of what she does, can I? Yeah, because season 2 we can get more into detail about what she does.
I think the best you can do is her introduction. Remember when
we can introduce her, but her tactics will be saved for your video.
No, I mean more like when she's introduced in the anime when Hikigai and Yukinoshita are at the mall and they run into her. If you remember that whole sequence of events.
Yeah, that's her debut.
Where she's like super happy and cheerful as fuck, and like is casually teasing Yukinoshita about, oh, is he your boyfriend? Hurt the dirt, the derpity derp. And like you can tell Yukinoshita's having issues, and then like the sequence kind of ends, and like you guys like, wow, your sister's something else. And Yukinoshita misinterprets that and goes, yeah, a lot of people say that she's like super amazing, and he's like, no, she's like super fucking exhausting because she's like because she's over. And like that, ironically enough, I would say that's like one of Hikigai and Yukinoshita's best like connection moments. Because we haven't really talked about it, but there's a lot of connection arcs that work in the favor of these characters getting closer together as friends or potential love interests, whichever way you want to look at it. Because once again, we're not touching the shipping wars, damn it. Take the boat and put it out the harbor. I don't want to see that shit in here.
Well, okay, we won't say shipping moments, but we will say that there's a lot of good character development moments where the main character's taken into several different places with different characters just to see how they would work.
Yeah. And I would probably say one of my favorite moments is the nice guy speech. And I think you know what I'm referring to when I say that.
Yeah, I got it. Cause,
okay.
Yeah, like I think one of the show's things is if one character meets another in public, they just have to develop now. That's it. Like it'll literally cut to a restaurant and then that's their development. They'll be like, hey, I know you from school. Bam, they're in a restaurant now. Like the talking, whatever they were planning to do that day is immediately canceled, and now they're in a restaurant developing.
Hey man, it's a rom-com. They ain't doing shit important anyway.
Yeah, I think only 2 parents show up in that entire series.
I'm trying to think.
I rewatched it. Only 2 parents, and one of them's super important. So.
Well, actually, they're both important, but one of them is like more fan service important, while the other one's like plot important.
Plot importance, yeah. Oh yeah, and that's funny too, because when you see the 2 parents that show up, it makes it even more sensible. Because the series has a lot of I guess you want to say motifs.
Yeah.
Would you say motifs? Yeah, like a lot of motifs and like
theming.
Symbolism? Yes, theming and symbolism, yeah. There's a lot of theming and symbolism, especially when you see the characters where they are, and like you said before, their body gestures.
Yeah, it's very subtle. You to catch and that's one of the reasons why this show gets criticized for being boring. Because if you're not the kind
you
of
have to have a sharper eye in order to see it.
yeah, if you're not looking for the subtle changes and movements in their like responses and gestures, this show comes off incredibly boring because it is a lot of talking.
You know,
But if you're
especially with Hiki and himself, I'm not even talking about Hiki with other people at that point. Hiki talks to himself, I think, more than anybody else in that series.
actually, yeah, that's the one that we probably haven't mentioned yet. Hickey Guy does a lot of self monologues. He monologues the fuck out of everything. He does that in both seasons. But if you're not a fan of main characters monologuing, you probably aren't gonna like this because Hickey Guy monologues like 90% of the time. Which is interesting because it gives you more of an insight of how he is as a character, which is why I appreciate it. But I can understand people being like, "Oh my God, does he not shut up? And can we pay attention to the actual sequence of events?" Yeah,
he speaks really
some of
fast
which
too,
is
so
like,
yeah, he speaks fast too, so you got to be reading, like you have to be reading.
yeah, because you'll find out like because even though he has this personality, he didn't have this personality the whole time. Like we'll see flashbacks to him in middle school.
And I think I think that's the reason he has the personality now is because of the damages that happened back then.
Which don't worry, anime fans. If you watch the series, there will be a full circle on that particular plot line.
Yeah.
But we're the other season.
Isn't it also like a common thing in Japan? Well, one of the things in Japan, if you speak really fast, that means you're intelligent.
Yeah.
Or am I just thinking of Pokemon and N?
I'm not sure because I haven't looked it up or researched it. It wouldn't surprise me if that's a Japanese thing.
Yeah, because I know N is supposed to be super intelligent, and it's funny when you play the game, his tech speed's the fastest, even if you slow it down.
Huh. That's interesting. That's an interesting thing I didn't know about N. Anywho, is there any? Oh, I guess we don't really want to lay on this for too long, considering we want you to watch both parts of the video. So I guess we'll end it with these things. What is your favorite Hikigaya, Yukinoshita, and Yui moment from season 1? If it's too spoilery, then just leave out the context of the situation.
Okay. I guess we'll start with Yui first.
Yeah. Best girl, by the way.
Oh God. Let's see. I actually like. I'm one of the people who likes how characters start out because it makes it more flavorful for when they end. So I do like the moments, and these are just various moments at this point. I like the moments at the very beginning when Yui was always excluding Hikigaya on things, like basically calling him creepy and keeping her distance from him. Because when you see what happens to her character later, you see this is the evolution of Yui as a character. So I do like how she starts off, how she's mostly clinging with Yukinon, specifically because they have like that girl-to-girl connection, and she just views Hiki as this pervert. Which he's not 100% not the pervert either. The series will tell you, like he's a guy. He's got guy thoughts.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, so
and he's very open about those thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, in his mind, he's very open about those thoughts.
Yeah. And for you, in terms of Yui?
It's the sequence that it's really fucking funny, but it's really fucking stupid at the same time. Yui is given a present, and it's a necklace. Although the problem is that the necklace, she puts on the necklace,
I remember this, yeah.
And she's like, "How does it look?" And the response is, "The necklace was for your dog." And so essentially, she's wearing a goddamn dog collar by accident, and it's the funniest shit in the world because she gets so mad and then says "thank you" at the end of it, and you're just kind of like, "Don't ever change, Yui. Don't ever change."
Right. So I guess we'll move on to Yukinon then.
Yeah, and I'll start this one since you started Yui.
Yeah.
Yukinon is very weird because because of the way she acts, it's very weird to kind of figure out, like her personality and whether she cares or not, because she's very like, even because when Yui starts hanging out with her, she's not the most open to it. She just kind of tolerates it and doesn't know how to respond because she's not used to a girl actually being accepting of her.
Yeah.
So my favorite sequence is actually probably from episode, I want to say 2 or 3, where they have their first run in with Yumiko, the blonde haired girl, because Yui was supposed to meet her for lunch and like she didn't get a chance, and like Yuki Noshita and her meet for the first time, and like you can off the bat tell these two don't like each other at all. And the sequence is literally her just beating this girl down to the point of which she wants to like start throwing hands and shit.
Yeah.
The only reason why she doesn't is because somebody stops her. I love that sequence because it shows her Ice Queen mode at its best. Because the Ice Queen Yuki Noshita doesn't show up as much as it really needs to. Not in terms of other characters. You get it a lot when she's talking to Hikigai, just not enough in general.
Yeah, but not enough with the others, because with the others, I don't think they can handle it.
No.
Yeah, they can't handle it. Hiki's the only one. Hiki and Yui are the only two characters I think that can handle her like bluntness.
Yeah, and that's why. So I probably would say that was my favorite sequence. Is just her going full Ice Queen on somebody other than Yuki Noshita, other than Yui or Hikigaya.
Yeah. In terms of mine, I like the tennis game.
Oh, you just mean the tennis game in general, the whole sequence.
The whole tennis game sequence, all of it.
Yeah, they do some stupid anime shit where she's like, I'm really good at tennis, but I have shit stamina. And it's just like, really?
Yeah, like, it was a really just, like, you could tell that one person had something over the other, and she was breaking, but she was still staying within the game. And it was messing with her in the game. Like it was messing with Yumiko while she was playing. And
yeah, she was like, what the fuck?
It was all because Yukino is so good. Not just at the game itself, but at taking mental control of the entire situation. Like, it was clear that once she showed up, the entire situation fell, the tables turned. Like, she knows more than her, she's better than her, yeah, she's just a better character at that point. But Yumiko's not really ready to accept that.
No, she's not. So I guess to finish it off, we'll talk about our favorite Batman scene. I mean, Hikigaya.
Yeah, of course. Let's see, my favorite. I like him as a character, so every part is my favorite. But
hey, listen, we gotta get a little bit more specific than that time.
I know. I'm gonna get to it. I'd have to say, because most of my favorite parts of him are on season 2. I hate to say that, but season 1. In season 1, I liked. I'd have to say his interactions with the teacher. We never even talked about the teacher.
We don't need to talk about Shizuka because I like Shizuka, but because she's really good in season 1 too.
But yeah, well, the teacher. Long story short, what do you want to say about the teacher, and then we'll get into.
She's the cause of the series because she's the one who throws him into the damn service club in the first place.
Yeah, and the teacher and the relationship she has with him is actually really good. It wouldn't be acceptable in America, but it's really good.
It's like super fucking casual, and like they talk a bunch of shit. He's very cheeky with her. And she's just kind of like, you better get your smart ass out of here before I beat you to death, and then she beats you to death.
Because he basically, it's like what we said before. He writes an essay, and he'll put up some really good points that would make for a good paper, and then this bitch just punches him. Yeah,
because it's like always in the wrong direction. He's like, what do I want to be? A stay-at-home husband.
Yeah.
What animal do I want to be?
A bear.
I think he said he is like a bear, and it's like it was a really roundabout way because bears. The hibernation thing was like one of the major points, and you were just kind of like, oh, and she was just like, I'm not having any of this crap.
Yeah, like she's like, rewrite it. So every paper moment I think was my favorite. I liked the joke, and it kind of saddens me that joke disappears later, but I liked the joke between him and her, and Hiki really makes it because he's the straight man through it all.
Oh, man. Well, mine is actually one of his probably most infamous scenes in the first season. Although it's a very spoiler-heavy scene. All I'm going to say is that he's alone with a girl on the rooftop. You shouldn't know what I'm referring to just by that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
There's a sequence
He destroyed that bitch.
Son, it's the most savage Hikigaya has ever gotten in the first season, and it's bar none my favorite first season moment, because I can go rewatch that scene over and over again, and I love that sequence. I can't even explain to you guys how much I love it, because it's so spoiled.
Yeah, let's put it this way, guys. Hiki can call you out on your bullshit, but when he calls you out on your bullshit, he'll do it in a way that makes him the worst. I think that's one of his tactics. It's called self-sacrifice.
Yeah, which I wasn't going to address because of its importance later on. But
well, I'll just say it by name. I won't reveal like what he does to in
yeah.
But he has a technique called self-sacrifice, and it's a thing. So
it's its ultimate move. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, it's his signature social move.
Put it this way: if we could set up like a fucking like Street Fighter combo scoring system on that sequence, that you be here ultra combo breaker like near the end of it, because it's fucking beautiful.
And dabs intensify.
If he I swear. Actually, I don't even think dabbing was a popular meme at that point in time when the anime came out. But if he had dabbed, I would have died. I would have paused the video, got up, and been like, bruh, and just fell over. Be like, and done. I start playing that. I am the one. I might fucking do that. I might go find that clip and edit that shit in for the hell of it.
He's a really good character, and also I like his art style too. I know most characters that are usually in rom-coms are very samey.
They're also very pretty boyish.
Yeah, he's got like the cool little like piece of hair that differentiates him and his like his sister and him have that both, so, to let you know that they're a part of the family. And then his eyes, like if you look at Hiki's eyes, they say one thing: fuck all.
Well, yeah, because that's the running joke. They keep calling his eyes like he has dead fish eyes or some shit.
Yeah, it's like fuck all, like like that.
He's just like, hey man, it's a Tuesday. I'm just trying to go to school, man. I ain't got time for this shit. Leave me alone. And he's just like, and that's what his eyes look like all the time. His eyes are just giving off this aura of leave me the fuck alone. And he's just like, man, I gotta sit here and get in this club with these two girls. Sit here trying to be all moe and cute and shit. I just want to fucking read my book, man.
Would you say he's comparable to Shikamaru in some sense?
Actually, I was about to make I wish I was a cloud just floating along.
Yeah, like what a drag. Yeah.
That's what he feels like. He feels like if Shikamaru was a main character and a lot more pessimistic.
Right. Hell, even intelligence-wise, now that I stop to think about it.
Yeah, he's really fucking smart. People don't give Hikigai a lot of credit. He's actually way smarter than you realize. A lot of people realize.
Yeah. So with that said, I think we've done a good job. We've covered basically every important character and event, and then the overlay of the entire series. Is there any closing things you want to add?
No, because season 2 would be when we start. Well, actually, and that brings us the question for season 2. I don't even know how we're gonna not spoil that, because there's a lot of sequences in season. We can spoil the shit out of season 1 because we've already talked about it here.
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, there will be basically major spoilers in season 2's video of season 1, but season 2 will have like, I won't say minor spoilers, but spoilers. It'll have spoilers.
Yeah, you will know things.
We're not gonna reveal the ending of the show or anything. That'd be horrible. But like.
But we probably will reveal the ending of the first season, though.
Yeah, because it ends in a way that justifies season 2's existence.
Kinda. It's one of those endings that if it had ended the way it had, we would be fine-ish with it. Especially because then the OVA was a random-ass marriage-related OVA.
It did feel out of place. And, like, when I watched it on Crunchyroll, it didn't tell me it was an OVA unless I read the description. So it just felt like a part of the things, and I'm just like, that was a weird pace change.
You know what the biggest shock about that was?
What?
Crunchyroll got an OVA on their fucking website. They never get OVAs for anime series on their website. It's always the main series, and you have to go find, like, an illegal site to find the OVA.
Ah, that makes sense.
Which is dumb. It's so fucking stupid. I never understood why. But that's also because some like DVD releases of certain animes don't have like the OVAs on them. Which is a shame. but I don't know why Crunchyroll can't at least get the sub version, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
that's just a random
yeah,
tidbit.
I think we've covered most of it. And guys, watch season two's video later on. It's going to be on Insane Game Freak's channel. I'll be the guest on his channel at that time. But for now, on this video, link in the description of all three of his channels, plus his Twitter and his official website. Yeah, you have a website, correct?
Yeah, which is theinsanegamefreak.com.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because
It just,
my channel's connected to it. So yeah,
yeah, I essentially created like a YouTuber section where I put certain YouTubers in there. I haven't decided on not if I'm going to use one of my Patreon tiers to be that, but I want that site to get more popular before justifying doing that.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
I will put the link in the description for that as well. So yeah, make sure to check out his website. It's got great content.
in I guess in closing, thank you for inviting me on and talking about this because I like having snafu discussions. It's
Yeah.
always fun. It sucks when I'm limited into just non-spoiler stuff, but that's just the nature of not trying to ruin the conversation for the people who are just getting into the series. And they also have a review from you to be looking forward to too, right?
Yes, I will be, for those of you all who are watching the discussion later or before, I will be making a review for this series. So yeah, even though we had the discussion, I will be doing a review for this series as well. This was a discussion just to get someone else's opinions and perspectives of their SNAFU experience. So if you don't want to watch that, then watch the review or watch both if you have to. So with that said, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being here.
No problem. I love to share the snafu experience.
All right. So with that said, hopefully you guys check out SNAFU. It's a really short series. You can, if you binge watch it, you can watch the whole thing in like a day, maybe 2 days.
Hey man, I thought listen. This is why people keep saying anime fans ain't got no lives. Just getting their binge watching fucking moe romance shows and
I
shit.
could have, if it weren't for, okay, let's put it this way: if it weren't for work, I could have watched the whole series in one day. So, like, work was literally the only thing stopping me from watching the whole series in that one collection. So, but with that said, check out SNAFU. It's really great. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyron the Guy 3 out.